Welcome back to Right Answers Mostly, a podcast on what you didn't learn in history class, but you really wanted to. My name is Tess Bellomo.
And my name is Claire Donald.
Claire, I have a question for you. I
Okay.
have a question for you, and I just want to hear what you would do in this situation. And Rammies, please follow along. Imagine discovering the secret of life and then having your male coworkers publish it first.
Is that the question?
That's the question. Just to get us all fired up.
I think I would like to say I have a list of names and yours is in red underline.
And that's the perfect answer. That's really all that you need to say. So, Rammies, today, that is why we were going to be talking about Rosalind Franklin. Claire, do you know anything about this woman?
No. As you guys know, I'm not a big science and math girly. Like, I like to lean into the history and literature, which is why we're here. But I'm really excited to know more about her.
Claire, let's start with the structure of DNA.
Ugh.
Don't worry, this is not going to be a science podcast, but we are going to be talking about some chemistry, some physics along the way. So we know that DNA is basically the blueprint for all living things, right? It's like how you have your blonde hair, or I guess.
What? No, that's not true. I have my blonde hair from the bottle.
It's how you have your brunette hair,
yes.
your hazel eyes. It's how we, genetics, DNA, all of that is just like how we are formed. And it was, quote, discovered by 3 men, because that's the story that we've all heard. It were these assholes, Watson, Crick, and Wilkins. So remember those names. They were Nobel Prize winners. They were like the big brains and like the guys that changed everything.
Were they American?
No, they were British.
Okay, got it.
But behind this discovery was a woman named Rosalind Franklin, whose photograph of DNA, known as Photo 51, literally made the entire model possible. And yet, when the Nobel Prize was handed out in 1962, she was already dead and left out of the narrative entirely.
My God.
So today we're going to unpack the woman who really made this happen. She saw the shape of life, and her story became one of science's most famous cautionary tales about sexism, credit, and what happens when brilliance meets trash men.
Wow. Yeah. And that's, the log line of our podcast.
So Rosalind was born in London. Can you guess her sign?
I don't know anything about her. A Capricorn?
She is not a Capricorn, but I can see how you got there. She was born on July 25th, 1920. So she is a
Leo.
She was born into a rich family, like think Downton Abbey.
Wow. Like really rich.
Really rich. Her father, Ellis Franklin, was a partner at Keisner's Bank in the 20s. You know what I'm saying?
And England.
Yes.
Yes.
And they were the kind of family that gave off very like old money, but with a social conscience energy. Like they were active in charity, education, community projects. And I said, where is that energy now from rich liberal people?
Well, we were just talking about how like it used to be like the liberal elite were saying in quotes, and like everything is changing.
Yeah, people have gotten a lot quieter or just gone to the other side entirely. So she was one of 5 kids, and early on, she was described as stubborn. But in a great way. Her mother said Rosalind always knew exactly where she was going. She had opinions. And I think her parents were like a little scared of her in a good way.
Well, I relate.
To our mothers listening, sorry about it. Sorry you raised strong women.
Exactly. That's actually on you.
Yeah. She went to St. Paul's School for Girls, which was shockingly progressive for this time. It wasn't a finishing school. It was like, we're going to make you a career woman when you get out of here. And the headmistress believed women should work, contribute, and not just marry the first man that they see that could like help, take them to a different place. And we love that.
That's like in the 30s then. And so that's crazy.
I know. I mean, this was just a very different time. Also, like saying like school for girls, doesn't that give you like a little chill down your spine for some reason?
Like haunted?
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It gives like little princess energy.
Oh, how dare you?
I'm so sorry.
Wow.
It is the season though to watch The Little Princess. If it is any season, it is now.
Maybe I could handle it.
Yeah, maybe, but it's still call 911.
Yeah, of course.
Energy. So Rosalind was a star student, of course. She loved math and chemistry and languages.
How
Those
many?
are all. I think she spoke fluent French, pretty solid Italian, and even a little German.
Crazy. I can't imagine.
Oof, I can't imagine. The only thing she wasn't great at was music.
Okay, well, you have to have something.
Exactly. We cannot talk about anyone on RAM that didn't struggle in one subject
Of course.
because it's just not relatable. So, you can imagine like her family, they seemed cool, but they seemed kind of like all intense. Like her family vacations were hiking trips,
No.
not lazy beach holidays, it says. I was like, how dare you offend?
How dare? Also, it's like it's vacation.
It's a vacation. Her ideal vacation was walking for miles and figuring things out in her head. It's very much giving like family that does turkey trot.
I was literally just about to say that. And I will say, like, give me a joint and I also can walk for miles and try to figure things out in my head.
I love like like morning long walk on vacation where you're just like, let me have my time. So I don't blame her for that. I don't. But I'm like, try having a margarita by the beach too.
Just give it a try.
Look, it's not a bad thing. So at 16, Rosalind chose science as her path, and she went straight to Newnham College at Cambridge, one of the two women's colleges allowed to exist within a male-dominated university system. But here's the thing, and this is fucked up. Women at Cambridge didn't even get full degrees until 1948. Before that, they could do all the work, pass the exams, but they couldn't technically graduate. So Cambridge was like, we'll like get you all set up, but we're not going to give you actually credit for like going through the system.
To that, I have to ask, what are you so afraid of?
Mm.
What are you so afraid of to give a woman a degree if she's done all the work?
Wow, why are you holding her back?
Mm-hmm.
What do you fear? Yeah, I guess the only like equitable universities was University of London, and they were the first British university to admit women on equal terms as men since 1878,
Oh,
which that felt shocking to me.
we love that though.
There were many like famous female scientists and doctors that trained specifically at University of London. So I'm not sure why Rosalind didn't go there, but I don't know. Cambridge sounds really chic. Maybe her family was like, you must go to Cambridge.
Truly. It's just like such a good reminder too. I think that we're like, oh, it wasn't until this year that women were allowed to get degrees and all of that. And in my mind, it's almost like my mind rationalizes it as like, oh, well, women didn't have those desires until then. And it's like women have always had the desire to be in the workforce, to follow their passions. It just like wasn't afforded to them. You know what I mean?
It's a good point because I feel like almost to like make like ourselves as women feel better, we're like, oh, but it was a different time, and like,
Yes,
but it's like our minds have always been the same.
exactly.
But the lies that we tell ourselves just to get through the patriarchy.
Honey, you're telling me.
hmm So Rosalind was like, you know what? I'm going to Cambridge and I'm going to study physical chemistry.
Wow.
Physical chemistry, because I was like, what the hell is that? So apparently it's like the kind of chemistry that even scares scientists. Like it is a hard field, and physical chemistry is a branch of chemistry that uses the principles of physics to study the physical and chemical properties of matter and energy. I think this is what's
Oppenheimer?
I was like, what's our baby's name? Oppenheimer did as well.
He was metaphysics or something.
Look at you. Look at you remembering that. I think, wow.
I'm
I
trying.
think I think so. So physical chemistry investigates how molecular and atomic structures influence chemical behavior, often using quantitative and mathematical models.
Well, it's a good thing she knows so many different languages because that was not English.
Yeah, like I really had to work hard to finish that sentence.
Very well done.
Oh, thank you. But she was motivated by curiosity. She really like didn't care about clout and she wasn't competitive. And I imagine that must have felt hard as like a woman that's trying to get through this degree. Like I think she really was just like in love with it. But you know what war's coming up, Claire? You know what's about to happen?
World War II.
That's right.
Mhm.
'Tis the second one. World War II broke out as she was on campus, and it was, as you can imagine, chaotic. Like professors were drafted, and the lab basically became a ghost town, which I was like, professors were drafted. I was like, that is not for them, but it was really for everyone.
It was like, it does not matter.
I was like, don't take the professors and the theater kids. We need to stay here.
It's
Our
like
work is
those
here.
two exceptions. Like when you're drafted, it's like, but are you a professor or are you a theater kid?
Oh my God. Yeah, I'd be like, I mean, you guys, we've talked about the draft. You know it. I mean, it's just crazy to me. It's crazy that you just would have to get out and
Go.
get in.
It's really sad.
It is really sad. Quick little tangent. You know what showed up on, I forget what Instagram it is, like history, something about black and white photos through history of all of the women kissing their soldier boyfriends goodbye on the train.
I would not be able to handle that.
It's like some of the most beautiful photos though, like the one of that soldier leaning his whole body over the train to try
Train?
to give her a last kiss. I was like, this will
Oh
always
my
make me
god.
tear up.
No, same. It's just like I really don't think that we can conceptualize that at all with like social media and like phones and stuff like that. Now it's like I don't know if I'm going to ever see you again.
Or hear from you again or know if you are hurt or dead.
No. I'm not we're not built like we're not strong enough for this time.
No, I think actually, like, even though we've always been the same, we are weaker now than
Yeah,
what women
100%.
the women in this time period. Because my god, just it's, like, devastating. So, yeah, the, university was, yeah, just kinda, like, not much going on, which I think gave her, I don't know, like, a little bit more freedom, maybe feeling a little bit more in control with, like, so many of the men gone, I would imagine.
Mhm.
So she worked under Adrienne Well, who was a female French refugee scientist who became a lifelong mentor. So it was like the girls are coming in,
Love that.
the girls are about to study in the lab. And they bonded over language and research, and they just really shared that feeling of like being underestimated women in a boys' club. After graduating in 1941, Rosalind got a scholarship to stay another year and dive more into lab work. And when the war effort kicked in, she could have joined something more traditional, right? Like for women at the time, they were like, go do clerical work or work in public service. But she was like, no, I need to study coal. She wanted to research how coal worked at the molecular level for the British Coal Utilization Research Association, which like sounds very niche, but her work, even immediately after graduating, like revolutionized the coal industry.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, we were using coal. Do we use coal now? God, this episode is really tough for me.
Oof, that is a good question. I think some trains are still
Yeah.
used with coal, right? Probably in
Um,
America, actually.
yeah.
Trains everywhere else, because that's usually what coal is used for, right? Just trains.
That's what I think of when I think of coal.
Same. I mean, I'm sure it's used for other things.
Santa,
For Santa,
of course.
she was very concerned about Santa's coal.
Yeah. Sure.
Right? I think
Yeah.
so. I feel like I've heard something Trump talking about coal.
Ugh.
So just leave it there. So she discovered that pores inside coal act as molecular sieves, which I don't know what that means, filtering substances by size, and that their structure changes when heated. And I mean, I know to us this is like what, but to the science world, this laid the groundwork for everything from fuel classification to modern carbon fiber. Oh my God, this is also hard to say.
You're doing
So
great.
stay with me, Rammies. So she's very successful even like by the age of 25,
Wow.
and she's already published 5 scientific papers and finally earned her PhD from Cambridge.
Okay. So they were like, well, I guess we'll give it to you now.
So, like she's entering now a very fun time in her life because she was like, "You know what? I've done a lot of shit for Cole. I've been working my ass off. Let's go to Paris."
Like, let this girl have some whimsy.
Let her have some whimsy, and she did have whimsy, Claire. I know you haven't gotten to here yet in The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Yeah, I had to take a break.
I know, but for all of the fans, think Belly season 3 when she goes to Paris.
What year is this?
This is in the early 1950s. So think like Rosalind is like, you know what? I'm going to put on a red lip. I'm going to like beat bop around town. I'm going to wear like chic outfits. I'm going to smoke cigarettes. And this was literally like her rom-com montage era. Like she joined this, I think it was a female like run lab, and she learned about X-ray crystallography, which is a technique that later she would use to photograph DNA.
Okay.
And she was just like, you know what, this time in life was like collaborative and intellectual and respectful. Like I got together with all of these male and female scientists after work, and we sit at a cafe and debate and like drink wine. And then I'd ride my bike back home. And there was just like something in the air, you know?
Paris is that girl. I'm currently reading The Paris Wife right now, which is historical fiction about Ernest Hemingway and his first wife when he went over to Paris in the 20s, like where all the artists were over there. It's just like there is something in the water.
I know. I feel like it just like makes you smarter,
Yeah.
cooler, more artistic. And she felt that.
Cultural. Yeah.
Cultural. She really felt that. I'm like, wait, have you been to Paris yet?
Yes, only once. I was a teenager for
That's
the
right.
school trip. So I would love to go back.
Did you get drunk?
No, we were like 14 and like our teachers were like there. So
Oh, that's right. Your trip later when you went to Barcelona was when you were older?
yeah, that was when I got high for the first time.
That's right. Yes, I need to
Europe
know the
has
time.
given us so much.
I need to know the timeline.
Mhm.
I think Paris was the first place I ever had a sip of wine when I was 16.
Well, what a place to be. Also, like, I feel like that's acceptable over there.
Yeah, I mean, kids are drinking like at 10.
Yeah.
It's a different culture. So her work in Paris earned her a serious international reputation. Like,
Okay.
now people were like, "Damn, she was just she was rising to the top." She figured out how carbon atoms rearrange themselves into structures that later influenced how we build heat resistance materials and carbon fiber.
Wow.
So she was like literally changing industries. Also to say, like, I'm sure it wasn't always easy. It's not like these like male scientists are bowing down to her. Like, I
Yeah,
think they respected her, but there's still like power dynamics and all of that in play. Like, I think a lot of people had never interacted with a female scientist with this clout at this point and like the brains, everything.
totally.
So she was like, Paris has been fun. Maybe a little bit too fun.
Huh? Was she dating?
Unclear,
Okay.
really unclear, and I will preface this by, like, I want so much more information about her, but this is all that I could get.
Well, this is also just classic.
I want her love life. For a second, I was like, but maybe this was just my own fan fiction. I was like, did her and that Adrian Well, French refugee scientist, like, did they have a little love affair?
Ooh,
But
interessant.
I'm not sure her sexual orientation or anything. I just kinda pictured that for a moment. I was like, I think that would be hot.
Of
Nothing
course.
about her dating life.
Okay, got it.
But I'm sure she enjoyed Paris because how could you not?
Mhm.
And then she was like, "You know what? I think I should go back to London," because I was offered a job. And in 1950, she accepted a fellowship at King's College London, working under this man named John Randall.
Okay.
And this is where things get a little tricky, everyone. So initially, she was told that she would study proteins, but Morris Wilkins, remember that little name Wilkins from the beginning of the episode?
Okay.
We have, just for everyone to remember, we have Watson, Crick, and Wilkins.
Okay.
These are the boys that we will be hearing about, unfortunately. So Wilkins was the assistant director, and he was like, I actually think that you should go to DNA. Like, drop proteins, go to DNA. I don't know how they make these decisions, but
And like how they even know what any of this is.
truly, they were like, you are giving us DNA girly. And she was
Mm.
like, fine.
Well, that was exactly what they said.
Exactly. So here's where it all gets fucked up. So Wilkins thought that they'd be working together, as in, like, she would be under him.
Yeah. Well, when I say together, I mean you will be like my sous chef.
Exactly. So Randall told Rosalind that she'd be running the project solo. And she was like, that's great. Like, that's when I do my best work anyway. But with a little bit of help with this grad student named Raymond Gosling, who would be working for her, like, would be her sous chef. But no one clarified this. And so from day one, she was like, wait, this is my project. And Wilkins was like, no, you're my assistant.
My God.
I think we've seen this film before.
And I didn't like the ending.
Hmm. So literally, like, imagine showing up to your dream job and then this guy's like, wait, no, you work for me. You work for me. What are you doing? Like, why do you have this confidence?
Was he qualified? Do you know?
I'm sure he was qualified enough. I think
Yeah.
she was more of like a genius than he was. But I think, he was like in the boys club that like was a British scientist that I'm sure he got more like write-ups
Yeah.
and publicity and like all of that. And, he didn't like that she was a woman.
Oh, wow. Classic.
Yeah. Classic.
Oof, you're so angry.
Literally, I can't imagine, like, even her having the patience to, like, stay with him. So their relationship was tense from the start. Rosalind was direct and confident. And how do you feel like men in the 1950s reacted to those traits in a woman?
Not well, bitch.
Yeah, I'm sure that made him feel uncomfortable.
How do men react to those traits in a woman now?
Not well at all. I
Yeah.
mean, we see it all the time. We talk about this all the time. Like, we always try to like take a beat before, like, if we hear that a woman is difficult to work with or a diva or like a bad boss, like, what does it mean?
Yeah, exactly. Are
And
they
I
saying the
still,
same things that men are
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
exactly. Like, I still have to check myself with that. So she also like took her job very seriously, like, as you would expect that she should. Like, she dressed really elegantly. She expected professionalism. She was like, I'm here to work. And she thought that the boys also like gossiped a lot, which is funny.
Like horsed around.
Yes. And she
Yeah.
was like, "Fucking put a tie on." And, like, I'm dressed up to the nines, honestly, like, she was a chic woman, and she just felt like they were, like, weird and immature, and she was like, "You're also kind of, like, passive aggressive and shy," which she's like, "I am not attracted to a shy man."
God, we have been saying that. Like, they're shy adults grow up.
Talk about it.
There's no excuse for being shy as an adult.
Look, we can all get scared to, like, call our doctor's office sometimes, like, that's fine.
Like, look me in the eyes and say hello. And while you're doing it, serve some goddamn looks.
Exactly, that's all that she was asking for. And they were like, "Yeah, like, this is just our project," and they were just being like immature little boys.
Mhm.
So
You guys, it's Scorpio season, so we're bringing the energy, okay?
yeah, yeah, we really are. So in early 1953, Rosalind was refining her data, as one does, because she's an elegant, classy woman, when Wilkins casually showed one of her photos that she had. Remember, we talked about this little photo called Photo 51?
Yes, okay. So not like a photo of herself.
Yeah, she's like, "Here's a gorgeous selfie, and you better look at this and think about how scared you are of me."
Mhm.
No, a photo, and I'll post on the carousel, of course. It's the start of DNA. It's everything. It looks like a little blob.
Okay. I'm like, I really don't even know where to begin with
I
this, but
think it's like a blob with cells in it or something.
that's the technical term for DNA.
We said it first.
Yeah.
But it was, like, revolutionary, and so Wilkins was like, I'm gonna take this photo. I'm gonna take this photo that really just, like, revolutionized the way that we think of everything in chemistry, and I am just going to show it to my friend James Watson.
Okay.
And I think we should also okay, I'll go back and say why this was so crazy. So they from this photo that she took, they realized that there were 2 forms of DNA, a wet one and a dry one.
Okay. So we have I don't know.
And the wet one seemed helical. Helical?
Okay.
Which was like, it was crazy. It was crazy. They were just like, "Wait, we always thought there was 1 form, there's 2."
Okay. Well, yeah.
So, they were up in arms. And so Wilkins shows James and this guy named Francis Crick, who are at Cambridge in the lab, without her consent. Okay, like he pretty much stole it from her. Like she knew that she had just discovered something massive, and he took it to the boys and was like, "Look what I've been working at the lab."
No, he said me?
Of course.
No.
Because he still in his mind was like, "This bitch is my assistant."
Well, yeah, because anything that she finds is actually mine because she's my assistant. So, like, I'm leading her to that.
Exactly. He's like, "She's a woman, so obviously she couldn't have discovered this, but she's helping me out kind of." But like he's not even talking about her. He's just like, "Look at this photo, it's crazy." And, this single image gave them the missing clue to build the double helix model. You know the DNA, it's the emoji.
Yeah, it's the emoji, of
It's
course.
it's the emoji. Side note, we had to do like a creative project sophomore year of high school of like learning about DNA, and I designed a t-shirt,
My God, she is a fashion girly.
which I will post on the carousel because I still have it,
Okay.
of just what I thought DNA looked like.
And
And
it's on
that
the
was
t-shirt?
it's on the t-shirt, yeah, just the DNA, the secret of life, and I was like, "I'm gonna make this fashion."
Okay,
It's hideous.
oh,
It's hideous.
question. I'm sorry, science girlies, and for really everyone who's a functioning adult, but like from DNA, we can like, because I remember doing this in biology where you would see what child was going to have like blue eyes.
Yeah, like, I think that's the basis of how we learned about, like, recessive genes
Genes, yeah.
and, dominant genes and how literally, like, our bodies and cells are just, like, made up and, like, how
Okay.
we, like, our children will look like and act like and gain traits that we have, like, everything.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Which is so important for health.
Oh my god, it's important for everything. Like,
Yeah, it's important for everything.
we would not be here without Rosalind. I
Wow.
mean, we would, but we just wouldn't know what the fuck's going on.
So true.
Everything would come at such a shock. So, within months, the 2 of them because she still is like, "God, I have to work with this man." Like, I've been assigned to this man, so she can't really be like, "This is mine." And I'm not exactly sure, like, what reasoning. Wish that she had given more interviews of, like, this process, but, You will see what happens. So these boys had a famous paper together that they would publish their findings in, Watson, Crick, and Wilkins. And it was called Nature. And they published this story of what they had just found, but did not name Rosalind at all. And at this point, she had no idea that they had even seen the photo or her data or research. So they went behind their back and they just published this paper.
And that's how she, like, found out about it? It's
Mhm.
truly giving Whitney Wolf Herd when the guys at Tinder said that they were the founders of Tinder and not her name at all, and that's how
It
she found out about it was a Time magazine?
it is so unfortunately ram coded. Like,
Wow.
this
Oh,
comes up in every different generation, like every time in history. It's so fucked up.
it makes me feel sick.
It makes me feel sick too. And here she is just like, sure, feeling proud of herself and being like, oh my gosh, like she probably also had a plan of like when she was going to release this, how she was going to do it.
Well, of course, and it's also, like, it's such an accomplishment. It's also, like, where is this going to take me further in my career?
Exactly. Oh, so they said, and they even quote like that they discovered the secret of life, like how we say secret of life now. They were like, that's us. That's copy. That's that's copyrighted. That's they said that that was them.
It was not them, I'm
So when you
guessing.
no, when you learn about secret of life, you're like, oh, it was these three scientists. She was the one that like coined that term, and they just completely stole it from her. I'm sure that that fucking asshole heard her say it in the lab.
She's like, "How do you sleep at night?"
I'm sure this didn't even go through their heads.
Also, like, this just reminds me of all the white dudes who right now are, like, screaming about DEI hires, and they're like, "Oh, we just need a more qualified person to be it." And it's like, yeah, we do need the most qualified person to be in that position, and they have not been afforded that position because these losers have been taking up space, and if you really think that you're qualified for your job, then you should be able to get your job no matter what.
Why are you so scared? As you were saying at the beginning of the episode.
So scared.
Why are you so scared and why are you so angry?
Mhm.
My God. So it is literally known as like one of the greatest scientific betrayals of this century. And it was made worse because Rosalind wasn't even given the chance to defend herself. And when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about how she found out, what happened, and the end of Rosalind's life.
Oh my god.
And we are back, Rammies. So here's the thing. Once again, we know very little information about like her emotional reaction to finding this out because she obviously sees what's published in the papers. She knows what they did, but she doesn't really have a chance to say, wait, that was me. She doesn't like publicly make an announcement about it.
This is in the 50s?
Hmm.
Why does she not?
I don't know. I don't know. I think, I mean, for what my research showed was that she moved on to a completely different section of science. So after like she saw the paper, she transfers to this place called Birkbeck College under this man named J.D. Bernal, who was one of the few male scientists who truly respected her and like respected other women in the field. But she was like, you know what? I'm going to leave DNA behind and I'm going to focus on viruses, specifically the tobacco mosaic virus, which is known as TMV.
Okay, what does that virus do?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, so did she not have anyone on her team? Like, did just no one believe her? We just don't know.
I think it was like a combination of a lot of things. I think she was like, these are three of the biggest names in science, and they just said that they did this. Like, who's going to believe me? Also, like, I think she was very much like, okay, that's done, and I'm not going to waste my time. Like, I think she was a very like practical person, and so then she was like, I'm then going to go work on something else and try to, revolutionize another thing in science. This is what like I can't imagine. Like, I would be. But then again, it's like, what would she do? Like, she could like write something up in a paper. She could talk to some other male scientists about it to help her. But then they
Yeah,
probably all were like, you were working with him. So like you guys kind of discovered it together. Like there still was that like intense sexism.
I know. And it's just so hard because, and then again, this is being put on the woman, but it's like, fight for it so that future women can have more opportunities in science. But then again, it's like, again, putting it all on the woman, but that it's her job now.
I know. She's probably like, I don't have the time
Yeah.
or energy. I think maybe she would like, God, I wish we could talk to her and ask, like, were you embarrassed? Or did you think no one would believe you? Like, I'm sure she was just like, who would believe me?
Okay. So it's like, how did her story get out there?
So, she's working with JD Bernal, and once again, she is just figuring shit out that no man has ever thought about in her life. She figured out that the virus's RNA sat inside its protein shell, which was a key discovery for molecular biology. Her team included a young Aaron Klung, who later won a Nobel Prize for similar work and always credited Rosalind as his mentor in everything.
Well, that's great.
Thank God there's one.
Yeah. At the bare minimum, I got the bars in hell, but yeah.
The bar is in hell. She also built a massive network of scientists in the United States and was asked to design virus models for the 1958 Brussels World Fair.
We were still having the World Fair in the 50s?
It's just going on,
Wow.
isn't it? Um, but Claire, this is also a time, and she is in her 30s, where she discovers that she has ovarian cancer.
Ugh.
hmm So she is getting very tired, and it like it progresses very quickly. And people think that why she got it and why it was such like a brutal and terrible sickness for her was from probably prolonged radiation exposure.
I was literally just gonna ask, is like lab work stuff.
Do you remember in Oppenheimer where they're telling the women to get out of the lab because they're like, well, we don't know what it does to your
Yeah, and she's like, "Well, what about your sperm?"
exactly.
Yeah,
And we're
yes.
still learning things about sperm that are shocking, you guys.
Yeah, it might not be what we think it was.
There are
That was so vague about what
studies.
I just said.
People are like, what are you talking about? Tell us about the sperm.
I think that they're just finding now that, like, we've always put it on women's biological clock, and it might not just be all on women's biological clocks.
There was just some research that how bad of morning sickness you get is correlated to the health of the male sperm.
That is so interesting.
Isn't that interesting? And like, not to shame, and but I think it is like now doctors are like, actually, we should really like when you are trying to procreate, like, let's watch diet, not drink, not smoke, like all of those things are like just as important for men to be doing as women. Like,
I mean, it makes sense. There are 2 people in this project.
yeah, sperm is powerful.
Yeah, it is, and we've been saying that.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately and fortunately.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
God, there's just, like, such great irony in her having a sickness, like, with cancer when she's, like, figuring out. Do you guys get what I mean by that?
Yeah, researching viruses, and then she gets sick with ovarian cancer, and she's like
And,
a
like,
woman alone.
DNA and, I mean, it seems like it might not have been a genetic thing, but, yeah, it's just sad.
It's ironic. It's like really it's really heartbreaking.
How old is she? She's in her mid-30s?
She's in her mid-30s at this point. And still she kept working between treatments. She was publishing, she was mentoring, she was traveling, but she just got so sick, and she died in April of 1958 at 37 years old.
Oh my god. She's so young.
She's so young, and by this point, she'd published 45 scientific papers across coal, DNA, viruses. And you guys, this is the most fucked up part of this story. So she has passed, and Watson, Crick, and Wilkins win the Nobel Prize in 1962 for their work discovering DNA.
And they didn't mention her?
Claire, they did not publicly give her any credit.
I, like, actually feel sick.
Same. And so here is the thing. I guess at this time, until recently, you couldn't win a Nobel Prize if you were deceased.
Okay. I mean,
So there's people that are like, like we should get, and it's like, no, no, we cannot defend these men because from the get go, you stole her photo,
you stole my goddamn house.
you stole my goddamn house, and you literally did not give her credit through your first paper, through your Nobel Prize, nothing. So it's so fucked up.
That's what's like, I don't really care if you can get a Nobel Prize if you're alive or if you're not. Like, it's not about that. It's about like giving credit where credit is due.
Exactly.
Also, she's
No,
dead now. Like, what does it hurt you to like mention her?
the ego is
Yeah.
so fragile and
Yeah.
weak.
Yeah.
So, in 1968, James Watson published The Double Helix, a gossipy tell all where he painted Rosalind as Rosie, an uptight, humorless spinster who didn't understand her own data. This sold millions of copies, Claire.
Wait, what?
So on top of all of this bullshit, he literally is like, I'm gonna write a memoir and talk about how much I hated her.
Why are you such a little bitch?
He's such a little bitch. Saying that she's a humorless spinster, all literally meaning she is so dedicated to her work that she doesn't have time for your gossip or to date.
Yeah, and, like, what does that matter to her craft at all? Like, what does her being a spinster have anything to do with this? Oh my god. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Truly trash. So her friends are furious. They read this and they're like, we have to do something. Like, we need to honor her. So in 1975, Anne Sayre, who was one of her friends in the science world, wrote a biography to set the record straight, arguing that Rosalind wasn't bitter. She wasn't socially inept. She was simply a woman demanding respect in a field that she didn't get any credit in.
So she wrote a biography for her? Oh, Tess, I would write a biography for you if someone wronged you. I would. I would do
I
it.
j That is my love language, like, I literally love that so much, and I would do the same for you.
It's also just so interesting that, again, he's going, like, for her looks and not looks, but, like, with the Spencer thing, like, personality, and it's like, again, like, so say she was uptight, what does that have to do with anything?
It's what we see right now, it's like, oh, yeah, go for her dating life and her beauty,
Yeah, of
like,
course.
um and I think, like, so much of the story, like, it's so frustrating, and I think now we're so used to, like, if something happened and we had to do PR or someone stole right answers mostly, and we'd post a story, we'd post a TikTok, it's just, like, it would be so easy for us to say our side of the story.
Yeah.
But, like, back then, like, this woman had to write a biography, and so only until then is when people and female scientists and feminists were like, "Holy shit, we need to know more about this."
Well, that's what I was gonna so that's the thing that finally people were starting to understand, "Oh," and it's like, it's her sister in science that
No,
stuck up for her.
I know, and, like, and she must have known, like, she couldn't have done this, like, she couldn't have stuck up for herself. No one would have believed her, like,
Well,
and so
that's another thing.
exactly.
Think society
Mm.
really is quick to believe women when they tell their side of the story against
It
men?
Wow, it really is just what we see today in a different way.
Mhm.
Yeah. So since then, her story has become a feminist rallying cry. There are statues dedicated to her. There are documentaries. Even asteroids have been named after her.
Oh, she is that girl, like, that's how big she is.
Imagine having an asteroid named after you.
I love that.
So cool. And I think like what is so nice about her story and when I was researching, this was like very much like a common theme. Like the story isn't like a revenge story. Like it's truly she never tried to do anything like I respect it in a like I wish that she could have, but she kind of was just like, fuck you, stupid boys, and I'm gonna go cure diseases.
And, like, yeah, that's like it's like what you said at the beginning, it wasn't about the clout for her, it was truly about the work.
Yeah, like she never really cared about that at all. And that makes me sad, but like that was just like that was her personality.
Wow.
And, I think when we hear about these stories, we like to be like, but it's different now. And as we've been talking throughout the whole episode with like the themes that we have discovered, like we see so much of the same stuff come up today. And in science, enormous disparities still persist. Only 30% of the world's researchers are women,
Wow.
and only 3% of them have won Nobel Prizes um, in science and chemistry, which is crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, this is, like, why telling her story is so important because representation is so huge. You need to see yourself in a position to believe that it can happen for you, you know?
Oh my god, especially when you're, like, figuring out what you wanna do with your life, and, like, imagine if her story had been around, like, when you're a little girl, when you're 6, 10, like, when you're starting to be like, "What do I wanna do?" And, like, you just see men in these fields, and it feels so lonely.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're gonna end the episode with a quote. You really can't find many many quotes of hers, like interviews, anything. Like this is about as much research that is out there. She said, quote, "Science and everyday life cannot and should not be separated. Science for me gives a partial explanation of life. Insofar as it goes, it is based on fact, experience, and experiment. I agree that faith is essential to success in life, but I do not accept your definition of faith, i.e., belief in life after death. In my view, all that is necessary for faith is the belief that we are doing our best. We shall come nearer to success, and that success in our aims, the improvement of the life of mankind, present and future, is worth attaining."
Wow.
And that was a letter to her dad in the summer of 1940.
Oh, so it seems like her dad and her had like some disagreements about like science and faith and all of that stuff too.
I'm sure there's a little bit of
Wow.
family drama.
Well, it seems like she's like, sure, have your faith, have your religion. That's all good and fair. But like at the end of the day, like it's all science.
It's science, babe. It is
Wow.
science. And guys, that's our girl, Rosalind Franklin.
How disappointing. And again, this is like just so classic of Ram of like, why is there not a movie or TV show about this woman?
I know.
But Rammies, that's what we want to do. We want to produce these movies and TV shows talking about subjects that deserve to have their stories be told.
God, like imagine what we could do with this story, like because there's so many missing pieces still of like, I would love to create a scene of her in the lab fighting and like bitching these assholes out and like her relationship with her family, her dating, like all of it.
Well, that's what I would be curious to talk more to her family members because she wasn't married or had kids or anything like that. Like those seem to be the people who, or mainly the other female scientists. Yeah, it's just there's so much to learn still about her.
I know. I know. She's incredible. Yeah, I'm so interested in, I know we have a lot of Rammy scientists and I'm interested in hearing about when you first learned about her, what the conversations about her are like now. Like just fill us in, our science girlies.
Yeah, I would love to know the same thing. I'm wondering, like, if they're teaching about her now in schools.
I think so, but who knows if that's a universal thing.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh, justice for Rosalind.
Justice for her, you guys. Yeah, let us know any thoughts on our carousel or Spotify comments. Follow us at Right Answers Mostly on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube if you want to watch the full episode. And we will see you soon.